All right. Hello. It's been like 8 hours. Ah, this morning was good, dude. This morning was good. I started off with a job and now I have a free day. That's how awesome it's been. Yay. No, whatever. I kind of want to talk about this because, you talk about what I would call the symbolism of race, but it's just kind of the symbolism of color. And yeah, I'm kind of a balance, and I see the utility and the Ranger aspect of all the different ways of being and all the different kingdoms of the houses of the world. That yay actually do have their own dominion and do have their own branch and their own seasonings and flavors and their own fractal picture that are all the same, but then you turn down to they make that same image. That's why I can pull a lot from other religions and still talk about Christianity very directly. Even those weird science people, that's kind of the highest level of wizardry in this time period that we're in. Hey, yeah. Speaking of that, like I was listening to the line yesterday. They were having this conversation about affirmative action and whether or not, well, you should have policies that, for instance, even if you have a black student who's one standard deviation below with his SAT scores and one higher with his ACT scores, he's still preferenced against a white kid who's not, which is not quite, doesn't quite seem fair. Essentially, what they're doing is they're just we're gonna get 13%, 13%, 13%, or whatever demographic percent. Actually, I think black people are 60% of the United States now these days. Even though there's actually genuine diversity, sorts of things. And the reason why white people will always be predominantly in there, they're putting black people inside those cultures won't change that, is because they, as they themselves acknowledge, it's the institution fundamentally. This sort of top down imposition, oh, be here on time, we're gonna plan out, you know what I mean, and name everything. That's the realm of the heavenly aspect, not the night that ruleth some mysteries that people don't. I was watching a conversation on the line just before I went to here of a black guy debating with Matt Dillahunty, and if you just listen to it, not even just the words, but if you just listen to it, and you can't even see the other guy, it's clear that he's winning because he's ruling from underneath. So yeah, I don't know if I'll get anyone. This is kind of a bad title for it. I want to talk about the line a little bit because it's well, let me finish what I'm talking about. But there actually is an important reason to talk about the line, a little bit. And I'm why haven't I heard of this weird shit with fucking 200,000 followers on some of these fucking people? It's oh, this is the core hiding spot of the radicals, the political revolutionaries that want to turn over society for themselves, they mean, and bring us all to hell for a little bit. And the institutions, they are corrupted. We are the institutions now. We must fill them up and fill them with our ways of being, even though it's if you're calling it evil, you're just using it for evil. First of all, you said you called it evil. It wasn't evil. You just called it evil. And now you're going to move in, occupy the same position, and then use that better for your own desire. That's bullshit. It's some bullshit if you ask me. But anyways, yeah, so I was late to work today because normally when I get to work, I have to sit in my car for an hour anyways for this guy because he wants to chill and make some stuff that's not work related and just on his phone for an hour, and then we'll text and have to get the apartments open. I think there's a certain time we're supposed to get the apartments open anyways. But anyways, there was a weed shop that opened at 8 o'clock. I was sitting down front and I got my weed and I showed up at 8:15. Normally I oftentimes show up before the guy and started moving everything in and got everything ready by 9 and was even ahead of schedule. They're oh, why were you late? I was I said we got just a whole argument, and I was dude, I don't remember if I said this part of it, but this is just what I've been thinking a lot recently, and this probably played a role into it and why I just wasn't going to make a big deal of it. I'm trying to show you something. It's there are some jobs where you don't need to have the imposition of time. especially because like time actually moves very slow for me. So I'm like, dude, I'm gonna be here for like 2 years, like just today. So like, it's okay. I'm gonna work hard. I'm gonna like get it all done, and it's gonna be consistent. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's not like there are like multiple people who I'm picking up someone's shift. It's in the morning, and I'm just gonna work constantly. It's like you guys take like 15-minute breaks like randomly throughout. Like I just picked up some weed so I can give someone else a ride home later after work because I actually do a lot of things for a lot of people, you know, and that just made the most sense. And you know, there are some things there to fundamental perspectives on the world. They're each equally important, each equally have their time of the season to play thy role. And one of them is following and one of them is imposing, you know. And so you could look at that in all sorts of mishmash ways in the way that works in reality, you know. At night, you usually think about like relaxing, but you know, you might be imposing something on Earth at night, if you know what I'm saying. Or, you know, in the day, you might think that you might spend your time naming all the time long, but you know, I don't know. For example, maybe you have a job as a psychologist, or you know, whatever. I guess that's backwards for me, being like Christ, being thy Son of God. And, yea, I am like water. Has someone said anything? Hello, excellently to be. Hello, 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 hello. Hi. I guess I'm here to explain the number line or something like that. I've already done it before on my channel, but it's kind of a fun little mathematical magic trick that is very useful philosophically. If I do want to talk about that, yay, dude! Like the biggest demon I have in my whole life, by far, is that my lighters just always disappear on me. And today I went to the gas station. I told the lady, "Hey, can you give me like a colorful lighter so I like won't lose it?" She goes, "Yeah, sure." Like completely understood this thing was not being rude. And she goes back and hands me a fucking camouflage lighter. And I was like, "Nice." She's like, "Yeah, that's what we got." And I was like, "Okay, cool." The other one I had was literally like just black through and through. There was even like a metal part. I'm like, dude, why? It's lost in my car. I just cleaned up my whole car. It's just gone. It just disappeared. So, you know, that just happens sometimes. I actually had to clean out my fucking car to get this because I literally set it somewhere. The next thing I knew, it disappeared along with a couple of eggs. Someone fucking stole eggs out of my car like a goddamn snake, dude. I got serpents fucking hiding in my trash, fucking swallowing whole eggs while I go to sleep in here. I'm sleeping in my car right now temporarily. It's okay. I'm Christ. I'm with God. It's a whole plan. I'm actually kind of plotting my next move as we speak. There's a couple different ways we could go with this. A couple different ways. How hard is it, do you think, to kill an animal with your bare hands? I have a machete. I chopped off the head of a catfish a couple times. That was pretty dramatic, you know. I think I could like chuck that at a fucking rabbit on Easter. I'm not very funny. Fuck. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I necessarily think of anything. I just felt like it's something I should do for people, you know? Um, People need to know things, understand things. Make life easier. That's the wrong way of putting it, but it's a simple way of putting it. To say the least. Yeah. What's a problem that I was trying to work out? There's something in the last video that I mentioned that I didn't quite have an answer for. Jay, what was it? Oh yeah, worshiping earth over heaven. The identity of Satan. Why can't you worship Satan? I mean, it's partly to understand, and this is very complex, that imagine that the universe is like a frequency, like a musical note, just a wave. So you could go along with it. And that would kind of be serving Earth in a way. Oftentimes that could make things stale, or if you're kind of in a feedback loop, it could even be evil. The feedback loop is like it's equal to staleness, but the opposite of it. It's kind of like, think about a lot of these principles work. Think about how you take a positive and a negative, and you get a negative. But if you take a negative and a negative, or a positive and a positive, and you get a positive, even though it's like the opposites, there's something about, and they're all fundamentally all the same, actually, in a way. There's something about the way you bring these things into a union. You still have to bring their symmetric partners together, even though they're all fractals, and that's like a very strange dance. And a lot of that actually is tied up with faith and why you choose to be here, and the prioritization and love that you feel, that I feel for you. Otherwise, the ones that don't want that aren't. And yea, I stood upon them. Zeus, Tiamat, whatever you want to call it. The other gods of the old world, yea, they submit to my love when they hear my call. As 1,000 doves come down, bray, bray, hear the bowl. Yeah. So, symmetric identity of those parts. Where was I going with that? There's something very specific there. Seed following thy brother. So imagine that wave. What actually draws in the actual music? Because that's just kind of like boring nonsense or chaotic, uncomfortable screeching, you know what I mean, of some sort. And again, the screeching comes from something that's like circular, which you kind of think of like, well, maybe that's like kind of like a tyranny in a way. It's like self-serving. That's like, maybe like a hellish streaking versus sort of the boring following kind of makes a nice, well, whatever. The tyrannical one is kind of quiet. Anyways, well, you have to be looking at like some sort of meta song, or some meta cycle, some meta transformation, a meta death that is outside of physical. When Christ died, he went to hell. He didn't just go like into this world. He went through it. Like a weaver, pulled it all the way through. So there are mysteries of mysteries and mysteries. It's a never-ending thing. That's what the infinity is. But you do have those boundaries. Those mysteries, essentially, are the walls. Like continue a wall that sits both before you and behind you, always. And thus thy Christ is thy ark, or in the ark is thy Christ. Something like that. Because you gotta have that crossbar inside of the boat to keep it alive. I also did finish that talking about my story about the Mamas. Yeah, I brought that up because even they saw a secret in nature. What holds her back? What holds her down? What pins her? And we're good at intuiting that. We're good at intuiting what is attractive to thy Queen of the South. Bray, her hips make ours dance. That's sort of that duality where the Queen of the South, unlike the white man who sort of turns his brow towards you and kind of tricks you and forces you and says, well, this is the system and this is the way things are. But the Queen of the South takes off her veil and shows you where you are really driven. Yay, that's where you are driven. No, I'm kidding. There's nothing wrong with dancing or music. David, my favorite king, was a musician. What about that? So there's a meta song that you must transform. And this song is also the part of the song that transforms two things into their opposites within this realm, like the seasons and whatnot. But it's a higher calling that is not of earth. And that's what's prioritized. In a fundamental sense, And this is something that the white man does not understand yet. We will teach him from the bottom up. We'll show him a drama, my southerners, my brothers. We will show them what it means to be alive. For January 6th, if they thought that was evil and some sort of drama, I will show them something like, well, that was actually kind of nothing. This will be something real and beautiful. That's all I could say. Something real and beautiful instead of like fake and kind of evil. Even though underneath it was kind of actually not that bad. I mean, there's a lot of things going on that day. It's complicated. As there will be. And yay, there will be a saying right behind me. And I might even just keep it there to see which one of you are my followers, you know. But this is the mystery that I was going to just tell. The manifestation of coincidences. You might see it around you and think that, yay, God's word, it doesn't matter like that. But yay, I can say heads 80 times in a row. There is no source of coincidences here. In the external world is symmetric with me, necessarily. So, while you guys might see coincidences, I don't. They don't exist. They are all my whisper. I draw up thy earth with thy tongue. Do you hear it? Do you hear it? Hey. Where you stand. Sorry, people gonna think I'm crazy. You know, those are the three things. Crazy. A liar. I'm gonna count that way. You guys can think I'm a liar. Crazy. Or I'm actually God. There's just things you guys don't understand that I do. That's not why I'm God. Because thy Lord anointed me before I was born and came down and showed me a story. You know, for when it says that they're union of heaven and earth and that Christ was born of a virgin, yea, I was born of earth and my spirit of thy father was what brought me up. So that story is to reveal what is going on here with me. No, I shouldn't say it like that. That's confusing. But, you know, people remember my return for a reason. The things they collected were part of this resonance now. For as I said before, and I'll say it again, it is thy climax that made the setup. And that's the way it's always been. I'm a writer, you know. So, yay, I'm out of a cigarette now. Maybe that's all I have to share for now. No, it's not. It's not. It's not. So, we will keep going for a little bit longer. Till something else comes to mind. One more thing. Maybe. You know. What? You're going to be mad at me for it to come back again. For I told you I would, it was just sleep. Ugh, my numbs are aching. But yeah, that's what it is to live a life of the meek. Oh my god, see? It happened again, dude. It happened again. It just disappears, dude. Man, that's just life, bro. I tell you what. Oh, there we go. Do we have any real questions here? Except this person saying hello. I guess most people are normal and are at work right now. This is my job. Saving the world one brain at a time. I'm doing over fucking internet signals, so that's like Kind of strange. Yeah. It's probably what's going to happen here is we're going to go to Texas. We're going to join the Mexicans. Someone I should have joined. I have a friend who went to Florida. Maybe I should follow him. No? See, that's the thing. This is the time of 7. You guys are all 6 and I'm trying to be the tip of the spear of 7 that says, hey guys, it's time to follow. Relax. Everything will be solved for you. Don't worry. Stop stressing. Don't worry. Worship God and thy Father. And stop holding your phone over your head. This thing, I would much prefer that you jerk off to it than have any sort of feelings like it's going to save you. For it's a good time. Games, virtual simulations, and things like that, It allows you to test things out with not actually having ultimate stakes, And it's also fun. It's really, really fun. Because you get to know something about yourself. And at the end of the day, you don't get hurt, So simulations are kind of a masculine thing, The cool thing about a simulation, if you were to have one, you get to walk out and be like, oh, I've already done this before. This is easy, I'm just giving a thought experiment, by the way. There is no to say that this is some sort of ultimate simulation is nonsense. It's ultimately created by God, and essentially that's like an Occam's razor thing. That's the simplest cause at the end of it. I am that I am. It's the simplest cause. So, if you say, I am a man who created a simulation with a computer, then it's what are you talking about? There's a man that put himself in a computer in a simulation all the way down. No, it's just not a way of interfacing. At the end of the day, the cross is the way of interfacing. At the end of the day, I mean that in any sort of universe, in any sort of way, that cross can carry you all the way through. Okay? What else rules this place? Machine else? All right. Well, it'd be good to relax. Maybe I should go into a place in person and see if people have questions. Yeah, I thought this would be a way to do it, but this doesn't afterwards I like the material I produce, and it's people can see it. And they can take it for themselves. And it's also fun. So, we'll keep doing this. I don't think there's anything wrong with this. Well, there's surely nothing wrong with it. It's just that you should not keep doing it. Basically, you know what I mean? That's the question. All right. You know what? I have a friend. Let's end this. Let's get him involved, and then we'll come back here. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out. Bless you.